So many of you who follow permaculture will have heard of the concept of guilds, but if you haven't, I just wanted to do a brief overview of what it is basically and some of the elements that you can find in a few that we have around here that are just starting to come into their own after 4 years. So let's take a look. So the basic premise of a guild revolves around a central, usually a tree element. In this case we have a nice apple and a peach, Red Haven peach and Crimson Crisp apple. It's one of the newer ones we grow. We lean heavily into more old heirlooms, but this is an amazing newer apple. But anyway, the guild is filled with supporting plants for these trees. So for instance, that shrub that's flowering profusely right now, that's a false indigo. So in addition to attracting beneficial insects and acting as a nice cut flower for some flower sales, unseen to our eye, underground, it's fertilizing our apple tree here. So this is in the bean and pea family. And just like those, it sucks atmospheric nitrogen from the air around it and stores it in nodules on its roots. And periodically those die off, whether from drought or excessive rain, just seasonal flows. Anytime those die off, the nitrogen is left in the soil to be taken up by our tree element. So that provides free fertilizer. We don't have to come out here with fertilizer at all, which is great. And tucked right next to it, let me get on the other side, we have rhubarb, which is obviously edible. We have its stalks that can be edible, but in this system, if we don't pick it, what this does, this helps to shade the ground, thus conserving moisture, suppressing the grasses and weeds from coming in. And periodically, we could come in and chop and drop this, and all those big lush leaves would rot down right in the root zone of this tree. Sorry about the wind. Next to that, we have lemon balm, which is a great tea herb, and when this flowers, it's a powerhouse for attracting beneficial insects. It's in the mint family, so that'll bring insects onto the scene, a lot of predators to help control pests for the apple. Ditto this lavender, it's a great tea herb and insect attractor. And some more fruit. In this case, this is a black currant, and it's quite shade tolerant. So as the peach grows, as the apple grows and creates more shade in this gap, the currant does not mind that one bit. So instead of just one fruit from the peach, one fruit from the apple, and then bare ground underneath, we have a third fruit under here that can tolerate the shade, and its roots just help to create more of a forest setting. There's a mycorrhizal fungal network in here that's just very healthy for all the members involved. There's a lot of space in the front. We're just filling that out, but there are more currants and blueberries, all sorts of early season bulbs like daffodils and tulips that are going now. But you get the picture. And we'll shift on over here. This is a true champion of the understory. This is comfrey underneath a Rhode Island greening apple, which is a very old heirloom apple. It's a great green apple. Before Granny Smith, this was the green baking apple. So growing wonderfully here. But if you want to talk about a chop and drop plant, this is the real champion here. So this has roots that, in some accounts, they say it can go 8 or 10 feet down, especially in sandy soil, which we have here. That's well out of the range of the tree roots here. So that mines all of that good nutrition, some calcium, magnesium, zinc, copper, whatever else it's finding in there, stores it in its leaves. Then periodically I'll come and chop and drop this, especially where it's getting a little weedy. Smother the weeds, cover all of that with leaves or wood chips, and it creates this amazing fast compost. All of that nutrition from 8 or 10 feet down is now in the vicinity of our chosen tree. And it also is a bumblebee champion and a wound healer. I've used it to heal bad wounds, muscle tears, all sorts of things like that. It's a very powerful wound healer. It's a great plant. I love having it around here. And there's some wild ones. There's some goldenrod, and there's some vetch, which fixes nitrogen for the apple, and this Nanking cherry here. So leaning into not only what we're planting, but what did the wild plant, and what do we want to keep, what do we want to get rid of. Here's feverfew, good insect attractor as well. Some more lavender, some blueberries that are, you know, they're little, but they're coming up. After a while, you won't be able to see any of the mulch here. That's my hope anyway. Just be a wild forest. The Monarda bee balm, which is another great insect attractor, and a tea herb. So many of these kind of straddle both areas of edibility. There's medicine, there's edible, but they also attract insects and just create a good environment for the whole system. Here's a goji berry hedge, so as the hill starts to drop off and get really steep, goji berry is a really fibrous root system, extremely drought tolerant, so as it gets drier here, it can tolerate that, and it fruits very late, highly medicinal, and it also holds the hillside in, so all the nutrition stays for our Nanking cherry, for our apple. There's a baby persimmon on the other side with some echinacea and comfrey, so you get the idea. Oh, there's a bunch of ground covers of strawberries all around, so anywhere you want a ground cover. I love doing strawberries. You get some extra fruit, and it does the same thing that, you know, something like the pachysandra would, or ivy, but that doesn't choke out the ground. It leaves some space, and you get some fruit out of it. There's the nitrogen fixing vetch. But anyway, just a quick spotlight. I could go on more, but we'll revisit this as the year goes on and as the years go on. You get the idea. Build some guild systems. What plants can mutually benefit all of the other ones to create a stronger whole than just a tree planted in a meadow.